Hello everybody, my name's Ivan, and I'm going to tell you how to buy ads on Facebook and its apps. First, I would like to thank the Travel Payouts team for inviting me and giving me a chance to speak to such a large audience about Facebook advertisement. Let me introduce myself and shortly explain why I'm an expert in this area. As a marketer at W Profit Agency, I've been into mobile apps marketing for the last 4 years, and I've been going through the Facebook paid traffic worldwide for the last 3 years. Why Facebook? It gets clearer when you look at the first quarter statistics for 2018. You see, Facebook is currently one of the biggest sources of mobile traffic in the whole world. Its daily traffic is 1.5 billion people. Facebook advertising is very efficient, and that is evident from their ad revenues. Besides, Facebook is the main generator of the mobile ads, accounting for 91% mobile ad revenue. What I'm going to cover today? 1. How to choose the right ad objective. 2. How to hook up your target audience. 3. How to reduce the cost of traffic. 4. How to make and test creatives. 5. Mistakes rookies make and the secrets that experts hide. Besides all that, I'm going to share our agency's accumulated experience in the context of Facebook engagement. There is a special format for travel verticals on Facebook, and I'm going to tell you about it at the end. I'd like to start with how bids work. Like any other platform, Facebook allows you to make custom or automatic bids. Facebook owns a wealth of information, and that's why it's really good at optimizing the advertising campaigns and setting bids. That's why automatic bids are set 80% of the time. Every time you start your advertising campaign, you don't know what to expect and you don't know the sales pipeline yet. You also have no idea about the real cost of the click, lead, or sale. That's why you start with the automatic bids. After you've collected some data about your product, website, or mobile app, it is possible to switch to a custom mode in order to reduce the cost of traffic and to win the auction by overbidding. What are the advertising formats in Facebook? Now let's deal with the advertising campaign structure. It consists of 3 types of ad objectives. The ad objective is the result you want to get. Would you like to get clicks, reach, some specific actions, or more sales? There are 3 groups of ad objectives on Facebook. We used to select leads, which is the second ad objective. The first one is awareness, and it is the most frequent choice of various brands due to its ability to guarantee a huge reach. The third objective is conversion, and it's mostly used for remarketing. Furthermore, I'll tell you about each of the ad objectives in detail. The first group, awareness, is a very useful tool that should be mentioned, although it is not very interesting for webmasters. This tool allows you to optimize campaigns on Ad Recall Lift. Facebook displays ads and starts questioning the users the next day in order to clarify whether they have memorized your brand. Then, it starts looking for the audience that's similar to users who have memorized the brand. That's why it's worth choosing the widest audience for those campaigns. Please note that the optimization starts the next day only if there is a very large budget. Big brands use this format to ensure the so-called brand lift effect. What is the essence of brand lift effect? When people touch your brand several times, you get the increasing CTR and CR in the paid traffic channels. This happens because the audience has been already acquainted with your brand. However, this strategy demands a large investments, as I've already said. What about leads? We mostly use mobile app settings because we work with them more often. There are 2 ad objectives that are used most frequently. The first ad objective is conversions. The second one is traffic that allows getting clicks on your website or blog, and finds out people who are more likely to click your ad and your link. I highly recommend implementing the Facebook Pixel or Facebook SDK in your mobile app in order to provide information on your sales pipeline. Moreover, it is very important to tell Facebook about your expectations. We know from experience that the optimization starts working in this case and it lowers the cost of traffic. Besides, Facebook can be oriented to certain events. For example, if you have a mobile app and you are interested in the sale of an air ticket or a tour much more than an app downloading, you can implement the Facebook SDK and place certain events throughout your sales funnel. Therefore, you inform Facebook about the desirable leads and their cost, and Facebook tries to achieve the expected results. Facebook has big data and needs time to run its algorithms. Facebook's official managers say that they need 50 conversions a week to make the algorithm work. However, there are 2 schools of thought on that one. Some people let the campaign perform for 2 or 3 days in order to let Facebook start optimization. Well, we have noticed that the cost of traffic and the cost of targeted action indeed fails, but by 10 or 20% only. Therefore, if your ROI allows using it, it's okay. Otherwise, we switch off such ad sets and restart them. This ad objective is used for remarketing mostly. Now, look at the screenshot where you can see Facebook's Ads Manager. There, you can target people who have installed your mobile app or your site's audience. Such campaigns demonstrate ROI 2 or 3 times higher than campaigns for newcomers. Note that Facebook has some specificities of the attribution. It ascribes the events that have come from the other traffic channels to itself because of the attribution window. We've noticed that if you don't make this mark and you let Facebook buy conversions for you without any retargeting, it doesn't work. Facebook uses remarketing anyway to increase ROI and to show its effectiveness. What ad placements exist? Facebook doesn't only consist of its own app. It also includes Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Audience Network apps. Audience Network includes Facebook partners that have implemented Facebook SDK and run your advertising now. When Facebook adds new placement, it tends to distribute it across advertisers with low CPM, which happens because of the lack of competition on the auctions. So you should test every new placement every time you see it in your ads manager. There is a rule on Facebook that the broader the reach of the audience is that you buy, the cheaper the traffic is that Facebook gives you. That's why we recommend using all the placements at the same time to get the maximum reach. If you find any placement, Instagram for example, performs very well, you should differentiate it as a separate campaign. However, you should note that in this case, you would probably get higher CPM. The conversion you have does not always smooth out the higher CPM. That's why it is always worth testing. How to work with Facebook audiences? Besides standard social and demographic targeting, Facebook allows you to reach out to the people you have interacted with, purchased from, or took any specific action with your blog or app. Then, it creates similar audiences on Facebook, which is called lookalike audiences. This is a well-performing technique, and we frequently use it for niche app promotion, including travel apps. What audience does Facebook allow us to target? If you have implemented the Facebook Pixel or Facebook SDK, it picks audiences with specific action. You can also download a file with your customers' mobile numbers. Facebook also supports integration with a great number of CRM systems. The companies use Datorama to integrate Facebook with their CRM systems. There is also offline activity. In other words, if you have an online store, you can build your audience based on those who have visited it already. You can also get in touch with people who took specific actions on your Instagram or Facebook fan pages. What is lookalike audiences? As I've already mentioned, lookalike audiences are people similar to your customers or other users that took specific actions on your site or any other platform. Facebook can pick more or less similar audiences. If we choose 1%, we get the people completely similar to your target audience. However, this audience is very small. That's why it's better to create multiple lookalike audiences and to add them to the same advertising campaign to make the CPM lower and to contact more people who are likely to respond to your ads. If you work both in and outside of your country, you should create lookalike audiences according to their location, but not to the whole world. Otherwise, these audiences won't be similar to the people you are looking for even with 1% likelihood. There is interesting targeting on Facebook. It knows a lot about all users, and it contains 3 categories. 1. Behaviors. 2. Demographics. 3. Interests. How does Facebook form them? First, it tracks the pages you like or sign up for and the articles you read. All this falls under the interests. It is also tracking your life and movements to place within certain demographics. The travelers group is also in demographics. In other words, Facebook can identify people that travel a lot via their geolocation. Moreover, it is able to distinguish those who travel for fun and for business. You should sort out a great number of interests to improve your reach. Note that Facebook not only uses its own data, but also buys data from data providers, with banks being among them. So it can gain insights on a person's average income. There is also a life hack here. You can select and then target ads to the users that have been interested in your competitor's business. They will more likely convert to your real customers. Creatives. How to make creatives. Creatives are 70% of the success on Facebook's media buying. The ad you've run influences the conversion most of all. Remember that Facebook optimizes itself and it sets your advertising campaigns. That's why you should mostly pay attention to creatives. During our work, we clearly distinguish the system that reveals the creative that performs the best and understands the reasons for their efficiency to further success. This process should be systematic because the creatives burn over time. The first thing you should do is to form a clear and understandable message that you would like to deliver to your customers. For example, if you have affordable air tickets or any other hot offers that will be likely to attract your prospects, Then, create at least 3 banners to test your hypothesis. You just direct traffic and track conversions. Then you switch off the failed ads and scale up the successful ones. You can make some diverse videos with the same idea. How to test creatives? Look at the example on the screenshot and see the English Study app's advertising. This creative displayed very good results. Its CTR was near 3%, and CR to the installation is 20%. You should make 3 creatives for every one hypothesis and test them. When the test is launched, analyze the average rates of ad performance and bottom line the results. Facebook pays special attention to the relevance score, the parameter which is based on the user's responses to your ad, whether they like it or comment on it. If it's so, your ad's value is getting higher and you are more likely to win the auction as a result. The higher your ad's value and CTR, the lower your costs on traffic. That's why it's important to make creatives allowing you to contact your customers more effectively. There is one more trend on Facebook. It actively promotes video ads that always perform better. What's the reason for it? First and foremost, users like videos. In a secondary capacity, Facebook keeps the CPM of video ads artificially lower. That's why we use videos 90% of the time. How to scale up and to optimize campaigns. First, let me tell you about their optimization, the proper time for their shutdown, and ways to analyze paid traffic. As I said, it is critically important to understand the cost of every action. So, if you've implemented the Facebook Pixel on your website, then you realize the price of every new user and of those that have searched or made a purchase. You adjust the Facebook analytics in order to see the cost of every action and to turn off the ad sets that cannot go through the sales funnel. There is an ROAS parameter, return on advertising spending, on Facebook. It is your ROI, or your profit. That's why it's very important to inform Facebook about your revenue, so Facebook can optimize for your ROI. How to scale up a winning hypothesis. There are 2 strategies to scale up your successful campaigns. One of them is copying successful ad sets. Facebook allocates the audience's pool according to your budget. Sometimes this pool performs well for you, and sometimes it doesn't. You should copy ads that are more successful. However, you won't increase your daily spend 1,000%. Why is it so? Imagine that your daily spend was $20 and you made it $1,000. In this case, Facebook is sure you need to spend $1,000 during a day. That's why it finds out the audience that will eat it up. So it is highly recommended to increase the daily spend no more than in 20% a day. That is the second strategy. We use both strategies. When we see our campaigns bring profit to our customers, we add the efficient ad sets and copy them as well. But there is a secret. Okay, so it isn't a great secret, just a few people care. You need a fan page to advertise anything on Facebook, a business profile on Instagram, or a public Facebook profile. Then, you can create audiences that have interacted with your Facebook public profile or Instagram profile. You can display ads on behalf of the influencers and for their followers, thereby increasing the ad's awareness. The results of our tests demonstrate the CTR and CR's growth because people tend to trust the sources they've signed up to. So, when such platforms deliver something to them, the audience's feedback is much better. Below is an example of a small business that printed animal images on socks. They have placed ads on behalf of the influencer iHeartDogs.com, a well-known foundation in the USA. Therefore, they got through to their audience. Travel ads format on Facebook. You should upload your product catalog before starting to use this format. In other words, you can upload your offers on Facebook, like the prices for certain flights, for example. The catalog that makes it possible to update is constantly in the auto mode, and to upload prices via Facebook Marketing API is dynamic. Then Facebook shows the user specific ads. Travel ads are often used for remarketing or upsells. That means the users that have been looking for air tickets could see your extra offers or the same offers discounts. This dynamic remarketing automatically detects whether the audience has seen your ads, the ads they should see, and the users they would be more likely to be converted to certain actions. In October 2018, Facebook announced that they were adding prospecting to the travel ads format. What is prospecting? Facebook provides its advertisers with the information on users who have been looking for flights or hotels on third-party websites. So you can deliver your product catalog to the user who's been looking for similar offers on other websites. They are implementing this feature gradually. Nobody has access to it for now. However, since October, you can send the request to your personal manager for opening in this format. Best practices for Facebook travel ads. You should certainly implement Facebook Pixel or SDK and set up all events. You also should wait for 48 hours before your catalog sorts things out if you have recently uploaded your product catalog. This ensures Facebook that everything goes in the right way with the right users to guarantee its algorithm performs correctly. Facebook says you should target broad audiences starting from 7 million users because they created this format for large companies. However, it works for small audiences as well, so you can test it. You should optimize for events, but you shouldn't buy clicks and installations. Here is a list of standard Facebook events that you should optimize for. Moreover, there is a feature where Facebook places events automatically after you've implemented Facebook Pixel or SDK on your mobile app. So you don't need to waste your own resources. Use automatic bids while starting those campaigns, and then switch to custom bids to optimize your campaign to get cheaper traffic. That's all. Do you have any questions? Of course you do.
The first question is usually from Alex, please.
I always have some questions. You told about how the videos have a 90% efficiency. Could you tell me if you use ready-made video clips or if you make them yourself? If you have such skills, would you recommend any types of video that perform in the best way? Or maybe, is it worth to create an amusing GIF and turn it into MPEG-4 format to make it viral?
We have a designer who makes videos. Their format is really important. Some advertisers consider long videos cool, but they actually are not. You only have 3 seconds to grab the user's attention. That's why you should get the contrasting video up and running in 14 seconds. And you should present your offer in the first 2 seconds.
Thanks. One more question.
Thank you for the report. This is really interesting. You talked about copying and restarting campaigns when scaling up. You also said that campaigns could optimize themselves if you increase the spend on them and so on. Are the settings saved after you create the new campaign, or does Facebook start optimization over again every 2 days? Do you get what I mean? Thanks a lot.
Yes. After you've been testing and targeting for a long time and you found your convertible audience pool, you copy the campaign and all the settings are saved. Of course, Facebook will change the audience a little. However, it will most likely get the right users. For example, if you have one successful group of ads and you switched off 9 failed ads earlier. So you copy the successful ads and some ads will still be working and probability exceeding 60%. You'll have to switch off some ads, but some will stay alive.
Any questions? Yes, there is one more question.
Thanks for the information. I unfortunately missed the beginning. Maybe you've already talked about lead cost, but hat lead cost records do you have when talking about airline reservations on Facebook or Instagram? For example, at first, what high scores do you have? Secondly, how did you manage to achieve them? Note that I don't mean retargeting or remarketing, but the audience. What are the best audiences to pursue this technique with? Do you take interests, lookalike audiences, or the general audience? And do you use cool creatives?
I couldn't tell the precise figures of airline reservations, but I can share information about the price of installation in Russia. It deals with the app of a rather famous brand that sells flight tickets. So the price per one installation was about 20 cents. How do we do this? You already learned that. It's very important to get the maximum reach. That's why we target the male and female audience from 13 up to 65 years old. It's the widest audience. Then we asked Facebook to optimize for the post-install events. The Facebook SDK had been implemented there, and it had certain historical data. In other words, it knew the users who usually make reservations. Then we were testing some creatives. We started the campaign with the automatic bids, but not the custom ones.
One more question, please.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. My name's Vladimir, and I'm engaged in a travel content project. During your statement, you talked a lot about the promotion in the context of sales. However, our objective is somewhat different for now. It's to find out how to collect the alive audience in Facebook and Instagram in order to sell them affiliate programs. Do you have any relevant cases?
We didn't work with it in the past, but I know about it. Facebook allows you to promote your Instagram and your posts.
Oh, I see that you're not keen on.
Well, look, after you've started promoting your Instagram, you can collect all the audiences that have ever interacted with it. Those users might not be followers, but they could like your fan page. Now you can expose them to your ads and direct them to your website where they would convert into a customer.
I see. Thanks a lot.
Here's one more question.
My name's Ruslan, and I write the blog traveltravel.ru. I also chair a number of projects that deal with traveling. Moreover, We pay attention to digital marketing, and that's why we are interested in all of it. During your statement, you talked about all the great opportunities with targeting and attracting your audience on Facebook, up to the increase of a daily budget, income, etc. My own experience goes against your claims. Facebook is talking drivel on geotargeting. For example, you mark Moscow City, Russia, then you don't get what you were expecting because users from the Middle East or Thailand click your ads, for instance.
Oh, I see the problem. When you set your advertising campaign, you see a geotargeting selector that allows you to choose either people that are there now or the users that live there. Facebook doesn't define location on the user's questionnaires. I can mark St. Petersburg as my residence, but I can live in Samara. Facebook is tracking me and will find out my location this way. However, we've noticed that it really adds some alien users, but no more than 2%.
Okay, I'll try to handle this. But I see the main task of Facebook is to spend budget, and it is rather difficult to attract the target audience like you can via AdSense.
Maybe. It depends on your business model. As far as I know, many solid news magazines buy traffic on Facebook because it is affordable. Then they resell it on their platforms.
Okay, thank you.
I recall that we have a mobile app, and we're receiving questions about it at the moment. Pavel asks, would you be so kind to explain in detail how to collect and target your competitors' users on Facebook?
Your competitors probably have their own page on Facebook, and you can target via interests of those who have ever taken action there. I can give an example. You sell flight tickets, and you can search in Google a great number of airlines that sell air tickets as well. Make a list, inscribe it into interests, and watch the audience you've got.
One more question from Alexi. What would the cost per click be if you set up the advertising campaign via lookalike audience?
It depends a lot on the reach of this lookalike audience. That's why it's a rather difficult question.
Obviously, the price per click will be higher in comparison with the common audience.
I guess it will.
Okay, I see. No questions? Oh, we have one more question, and it's the last one before the coffee break.
You said that it is also rational to attract traffic from Facebook to the information sites and to content projects that don't sell anything, but nevertheless need traffic. I get 2 cents for every unique visitor. Is it cost-effective to look for traffic on Facebook? And how many users can I attract? Can you express benefits in numbers?
One user could cost 1 cent or even 2 cents. We really did get such a price. However, you should understand that it is the widest possible audiences. So if you work with the performance business model and sell the sales to your advertisers, you shouldn't think about the cost of the click, but about your possible price for the action in case of buying certain audience. Nevertheless, it is senseless if we speak about the content projects that are usually monetized through Google AdSense. If you have the direct advertisers that buy through CPM or CPC, it is possible to assess the themes, make tests, and see the price of one unique user. Then you can resell it.
Thank you, Ivan. It's rather interesting.